welcome to the Iced Tea and Meme Show with your host, Nolan Carr. I got my iced tea here, I got my meme book. We got a good guest, so stay with us. We'll be right back with the Iced Tea and Meme Show hosted by Nolan Carr. Welcome back to the show. This is my monologue portion of the show. Without further ado, let us begin. Last week was the end of the road for some teams as the Pittsburgh Steelers came out on the losing end again. Cleveland Browns ending their once promising playoff hopes. What was once a dominant team quickly changed to the Delonte West at the NFL. Being a fan of the Steelers is worse than thinking Joe Biden will make it 4 years as president. That was funny. Just like the Steelers, the Seahawks were also on the losing end this past weekend as they would end their playoff hopes against the Rams and their backup quarterback. Most thought that the Seahawks would win it all, but just like the Celtics in the playoffs, they came up on the short end and shut the bet as always. What was surprising this weekend was the Washington football team almost beat the Tom Brady-led Bucs in the playoffs, led by backup quarterback Tyler Heineke, who, surprisingly, before he was signed to the team, was taking classes at college to get his degree. The Bucs losing to the Washington football team would have been like O.J. going to jail, not for murdering his ex-wife and waiter, but for trying to get back his old memorabilia that he sold. It was a weekend of first as Lamar Jackson got his first playoff win against the Titans this past weekend as they were moving on further into the playoffs. I'd be amazed at this feat, but Michael Jackson not sleeping with kids is more interesting than the Baltimore Ravens this year. What was almost a down bad moment, as the sweats in the Xbox lobby say, was Bill Belichick being nominated for the Presidential Medal of Freedom by President Trump earlier this week. And Frosty Grouchy did not accept it in his own unique way. Belichick saying anything more than a grumple is more rare than an obese man seeing his penis. Jim Jordan and Derek Nunes were awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom from Trump last week in the last-minute attempt to grab the headlines. If my research was correct, this is the first known recognition of the highest form of ass kissing in history. During the Capitol building riots, it was made official that President Trump was kicked off of every social media platform website after inciting a dangerous form of violence. What's funny about this is that the only platform he wasn't banned from was OnlyFans. Too bad the only people that want to see his small penis are the ones he paid to be quiet. This past Sunday, Nick Saban and Alabama won their 7th college football playoff national championship together against the Ohio State University Buckeyes, further setting his place in the history books. Nick Saban winning a national championship is like Fox News being bullshit. Don't care. It was made official over the weekend that the Philadelphia Eagles were to part ways with their head coach Doug Peterson after 6 years in the Super Bowl after ending his time there with a rather dismal 2020 season. Eagles management said they had different thoughts on the future plans for the team, although most say it's because Peterson sex more than uniform milking a cow with bruised teats. Earlier this week, it was made official as the House of Representatives were moving forward with the articles of impeachment against Donald Trump for the second time of his presidency. For some, Christmas or birthday is the best day of their lives. For Democrats, watching Donald Trump crumble in the headlines. First Lady Melania Trump came under fire again as her most recent speech was a little sketchy, according to people who accused her of recycling old parts of an older speech into this current one. To be honest, I don't understand the fuss about this, since all she does is take pictures of rugs during government sieges and not giving a fuck about Christmas, decorating, and kids in border cages. You have to set the standards low for her, since there hasn't been a first lady who's done so much of nothing since James Buchanan's wife when he was president. That's funny because James Buchanan didn't have a wife. And one of the more questionable moves made by the NFL this year, the Bears played the undeserved playoff game against the Saints, which was played on Nickelodeon this weekend, as the Saints would win in dominating fashion. And seen so much cringe that night since girls started making TikTok dance videos in public. And some more happy news, Goodfellas is back on Netflix again for what seems like the 1 millionth time. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but Goodfellas has been added to and taken off Netflix more times than Trump moving, adding new followers to his administration. In odd but not surprising news, it was announced that Lindsey Graham was on Air Force One flying down to Texas earlier this week with Trump. What's surprising about this southern sack of shit is that just the week prior, Graham was admitting that both Biden winning the election and how Trump played a part in the siege of the Capitol. This shows that no matter how large the pile of shit is, flies will always come to eat. In entertainment news, it was made public, although a rumor Chris Pratt may be potentially taking over the role as Indiana Jones in prequels or spin-offs to Harrison Ford completes Indiana Jones 5 in 2022 at the age of 80. Chris Pratt is starting to turn into the Joe Pesci of Indiana Jones type roles. Just wait for 40 years from now, and an 80-year-old Chris Pratt is still acting in roles where he's still doing movies similar to Jurassic Park, Indiana Jones. I thought this joke was funny, just like Browns fans thinking their team is making a turn for the better after the season. What was a shock earlier this week was the news of Liz Cheney making it public that she would be voting in favor of Trump's second impeachment. Cheney, the third highest ranking Republican, often known for ultra-conservative politics, thought that Trump's actions during the siege was the ultimate act of disrespect and treason to the U.S. Constitution. This was funny hearing this come from the daughter of a man who shot a man in the face with the with a shotgun hunting quail. Biggest meme of the year wasn't alt-right Republicans getting triggered that the special chat app Parler was taken down and banned by every platform, but Mitch Trubisky winning the MVP during the Bears vs. Saints wildcard game by Nickelodeon last weekend. People of Nickelodeon created a poll for who they thought was going to be the MVP of the game, and of course, the fans trolled so hard that they even showed them giving the award to Trubisky. What's even more funny is that the difference of percentage points was 40. Trubisky had 48, Alvin Kamara had like 8%, and the other person had 1%. And which is even more funnier because the guy with 1% was the only player to get a post-game interview. And finally, the U.S. government was in the news this weekend, and not just for excusing Trump getting away with domestic violence and terrorism, but for setting a prison record. Lisa Montgomery, a convicted killer who strangled a pregnant woman and then cut the unborn baby from her womb, was executed Wednesday, became the first woman put to death in the federal system since 1953. That's our show. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Andrew Estus. Welcome back, everyone, to the show, the Iced Tea Show. Noel Dog here, truly, episode number 6, and I am pleased to present a dear friend of mine, a close friend, teammate, whatever you want to call it, Andrew Estus. Welcome to the show, my friend. Thank you for joining us. It took quite a bit today, getting everything going, getting everything situated, figuring out a time, but we are finally here. So thank you for pushing through the difficulties of scheduling a few minutes ago, but now we're here, so thank you again.
Oh, of course, man.
So that pesky disc took some time out, and paying e-bill for school, it's a tough world out there. But
yep.
So how's it been though? How's it been up in the grand old state of Massachusetts in Bridgewater at school?
Not too bad. I've been flying a little bit off for winter break, so that's nice. We go back in a couple weeks or so. So looking forward to the next semester and all that.
I was wondering when I was typing up my notes, for points I want to mention, but I was wondering how it's been during this pandemic, whether it be, just flying in general or, going to school, comparing, the first time COVID came around, the first wave of it compared towards now when it's kind of juiced itself up.
So flying like during the pandemic, they have a lot of rules over at where I fly. You have to wear a mask all the time. You have to wear a mask on the plane. So if you have sunglasses on, that can be an issue sometimes in regards to they fog up and all that. Yeah. So that's something to cope with. And obviously before the pandemic, we didn't have to do that. So that's just an adjustment for sure. There's a lot of, quarantine rules, especially in school. You got to be careful who you're around and close contacts and all that. So it's always something to look out for.
Has it had any effect to the, specifically now, I guess, or the first wave, has it had any effect on, scheduling flying or, your schedule as flying in general, or, would have been different beforehand?
Oh yeah, for sure. In March, so when everything shut down, so everything at the flight center where I fly shut down too. So they shut down everything. We couldn't go near the airplanes I didn't go back until July 20th.
Oh, wow.
That was when they let me go back. So that was definitely a long time. I missed it a lot, but it was definitely very rewarding to get back into it again.
Well, I'll mention what I was going to say next, but it definitely gives you a sense of, realization that, thank God that, I'm not really suffering from this, or I haven't been affected from this. And, there are, bigger things to worry about than,
Yep.
something like that. But how often were you flying prior to COVID, or, after the first wave compared to now?
Usually I was on the schedule. So 2 times a week I was supposed to go, but a lot of times there's some schedule issues or weather would hold me back a little bit. So average, I'd probably get up once a week, give or take, just during the school week. But during breaks, school breaks, especially spring break last year, right before the pandemic shut everything down, I got up a bunch of times, and I was really glad about that. And then unfortunately that changed for a few months.
Is it now where you're flying? Is it is it an airport, or is it a actual flight school? What is the?
Yeah. So it's located at an airport. Yeah. It's located at New Bedford Regional Airport. It's not really close to anything notable, I guess. It's kind of near UMass Dartmouth. It's probably 10 minutes away. And then the university, Bridgewater State University, where I go to school, they own like a building that's attached to the airport. That's like where all their flight operations are. So that's where I go and I check in and I fill out some paperwork before I go out to the plane, and then go flying and come back. That's like kind of our home base.
Now, the last few guests I've had on this program have not all of them, but one of the I had to do one last episode was with two people, but 2 out of 3 people I've had on the show prior either live in Massachusetts, and now you're a student going to school in the state. How would you assess the response to COVID as someone who's going to school in the state that they're not living in?
So like traveling and stuff, you mean?
Well, I mean, you go to school in Massachusetts, and obviously you probably would have a different or an opinion on how it's been handled, whether at school level or statewide, compared to people who live there.
Oh yeah, I mean, the way they've handled it, like how Massachusetts has handled it, I think they've handled it just as well as a lot of the other states in the area. They have a lot of the same rules, like travel restrictions and stuff. But since I'm a student, I'm able to go back and forth to Mass because I usually go back and forth once a week. So I kind of fit that kind of rule there. But like the school itself too has handled it really well. They have a lot of pretty good policies. I feel pretty safe there. So nothing too much to worry about.
I want to go back in time, as I say, back in the old time machine. Going into school, going into college, and deciding where going to Bridgewater and then become a pilot. I was wondering if you could kind of go over the process of why you wanted to become going to school to be a pilot, and what the steps it takes to get a degree or whatever you want to call it in being a pilot.
Yeah, sure. So I wanted to be a pilot kind of ever since I was I've always been interested in planes since I was a little kid, but I think middle school, I started playing on my phone this like flight simulator game, and I was getting really into it. And my parents, one year for Christmas, decided to get me like a flight lesson for Christmas. And
wow,
I was pretty excited about that. So in 8th grade, I finally took my first flight lesson, and I just kept wanting to go again and again. And I kind of realized that this would be pretty cool to do for a job one day. So I kept flying, periodically, like throughout high school, and I got to do my first solo flight senior year. So that was really neat. And then in the college application process, approached pretty quickly. So I decided to go to Bridgewater because they had a pretty solid aviation program, and it's close to home. And I love flying in New England because you get to fly in all sorts of weather. You're not down in Florida where it's sunny every day. So it's good to know, like, it's good to fly in the cold, the warm, the snow, rain. So it's just a lot of factors.
And then what about what the process is like, to completing your degree in order to, once you complete school, what's it like to, become a pilot in the stage you're at?
Yeah. So how they do it is I went in as if I didn't have any experience. So I basically started from the beginning of the training course, and they put you through the course and you work towards getting your private pilot license, which is the first license out of 4 that you have to get in order to graduate. So this September, I got that license finally after a lot of, setbacks and stuff. And now I'm working on the second one. And sort of, I guess in simpler terms, the first license allows me to fly looking outside. So in nice weather, looking outside, not near any clouds. And I can pretty much go to any airport I want, anywhere around the country, which is pretty neat. And the next license I'm working on will allow me to fly into the clouds and just look at the gauges inside the airplane instead of looking solely outside. So it's definitely something to get used to. It's a big learning curve, but I'm a few lessons in, and so far it's going pretty well.
Yeah, I'm guessing you can't be afraid of heights when you want to become a pilot. You got to have a tough stomach. Yeah.
There's actually my flight instructor last year. He actually told me he is afraid of heights, and he's a flight instructor. So
that's
I guess smart. I guess it's kind of different in everybody, but he's a good pilot. So.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, so basically, it's a completely separate than you'll be going to school, for whatever whatever your major is, and then on the side, combined with that, you're getting your pilot training and license.
Yeah. So pretty much, in order for me to get this degree, I also have to get those four licenses, and the third and the fourth one is so after I finish the second license where I can fly in the clouds, the third one is I can get paid to fly passengers. So I can do some more revenue flights. Like I can make money, I guess, flying because the license I have right now, like I can fly other people, but I can't make any money from it.
Oh,
Like
okay.
everyone has to pay like evenly. So I would have to pay the same amount as everyone else I'm flying with. But when I get my
Now for those who aren't at the same age as you, who might be going to school and younger, who may have somewhat interest in planes and so forth, so on and so forth, would you recommend this for anyone, regardless if they like that type of stuff or not?
I mean, I'd say, if you're someone that likes to, you know, see a lot of really cool views from really high up and likes to try new things and sort of see the world in a different way, I'd say go for it. Give it a try. You could even take an intro flight lesson at a different flight school before you start like applying to college, which I'd recommend just to give you like a snapshot, see if you like
Yeah.
it or not. And it's just because it's a lot of money, it's a huge investment. So it's always good to know that you're interested before you initially get into it, start flying like a lot.
Now I want to since you've been doing this obviously for a bit of time, and you have a passion for it. I'm sure you've seen quite the amount of film or TV show in your free time, which I also want to I'll mention a little bit. To you though, what to you is the most, as a pilot, what's the most authentic, whether it be film or TV show or scene in a film or TV show, that's the most authentic towards flying?
Yeah, that's a good question. I've always liked the movie Sully. It's been a pretty good movie about the pilot who landed in the Hudson. I think that was a very just awakening event, especially to someone who is interested in
Yeah.
planes, just because of how quickly he had to decide to land his plane
Yeah.
in the Hudson, even though everyone else was telling him not to, and he knew how to make the right choice. And just trusting your gut and flying the airplane well, it's something that we're always taught in school. So it was kind of cool to see, like a real life event kind of it kind of reflected
Yeah.
on what we're learning, which
Would
is
you,
definitely
speaking of
nice.
Sully, which was my next point, so thank you for bringing it up. Would you have, if you were Sully, would you have done the same thing, or would you have done something different?
I mean, that's really hard to say because, it could have it could be a different situation, but
Yeah.
I would hope that I would have done what Sully did,
Yeah.
just made the right choice. And he knew the airplane better than anyone. He
Yeah.
knew the situation better than anyone because he was right there. So I would definitely say I would use my best judgment in the moment.
Now, we both on a different, taking another turn in this thing. We both share a love for many things, tennis, um, but especially though more than anything else, Star Wars. And
Yes.
we saw the last, well, not Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker together. Our parents, and obviously I didn't bring my siblings, but you brought your wonderful brother and so on and so forth. How close would you say, obviously it's science fiction, they're in space, but how close would you say that is to flying, what you're doing? Is
Like
it,
flying an X-wing
yeah,
versus flying a plane.
or like Millennium Falcon or anything, or is it completely different, not anything close?
Um, I'd say like I guess there's some aspects that might be slightly similar.
Yeah, but
Um,
is it too hard to make any sort of connections to?
I mean, it's also in space, so there's no
Yeah.
gravity.
Yeah, so
So
I think I should save that when if I ever have someone part of NASA, or if I ever get that big interview when I talk to George Lucas.
yeah, yeah.
But so I want to go to another. I don't usually do this. Each time I do an episode, I want to make it better than it is, regardless of the analytics or whatnot. But I would like you, if you can, your ranking of Star Wars movies or content in general, some from favorite to best, and from best or worst,
Yep.
in your opinion, down to um, the least best or worst.
Wow. All right. So rank them right now.
Yeah.
All right. I'll get a little sticky note out. Make a list. This will This will help.
Yeah.
All right. So my top, that's really hard to say actually, but my top, I'd say, just because it's a classic, I'd say Return of the Jedi is probably my favorite. Just because it brings an end to like a really good trilogy. Yeah. Arguably, I think probably the best one. Just because of it's a classic and the soundtrack is really cool, and I grew up watching that trilogy especially. So just seeing it end like that, the way it did, seeing Vader remove his mask, seeing him, Anakin Skywalker fulfill his destiny, I think that was definitely my top. My second favorite, probably say Empire Strikes Back. That's definitely a really close second. Episode 5. Just because it sort of brings the story together. You sort of see that character development. Luke, Vader. That's when you really like, and then like carrying on from that, you see that my third favorite probably be Episode 4. And all of the 3 originals are a really close tie.
Yeah.
But I'd say the third favorite is Episode 4, just because that's an absolute classic, and I definitely have that one of my top
for sure.
first Star Wars I've ever seen. I'd say like for the first movie ever made, I'd say it was pretty well done.
Yeah.
And it was the foundation. So
at the time, that was also, the best quality they could do for a movie of that magnitude or.
Yeah. Yep. And then like, as we move into the prequels, I'd say my favorite one's probably Episode 3, just because it had a lot going on, and it's always cool to see like a lot going on, a lot of fight scenes, a lot of space battles. That's always the cool parts of it. But there's a lot of like story development in there too. And what I really liked about the prequels, and I actually saw a video about this online today, was that like the story is a lot more complex than the originals. Like, they go into like how politics and the Senate, and how like corporations can be the demise of democracy. And wow, it's pretty deep. So I thought that was interesting. So I thought like episodes, especially episodes like 2 and 3, I thought that was pretty cool. How you could see like the politics and like just how it really dug deeper into the story. And then I say Episode 1's probably my least favorite prequel, just because there wasn't a lot of plot value necessarily in it. I think the most plot value is probably when Qui-Gon dies, it's like, oh, what if he didn't die? He probably could have helped Anakin, a lot more.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much, they're all perfectly good movies.
Oh yeah, they're different. I think for myself though, I don't mean to interrupt, but I have the same sort of thing. I say, episode Revenge of the Sith is by far my favorite out of the 9 movies made, and who knows what the future holds for the Star Wars franchise. But I remember when I was growing up watching, obviously the first movies I got were the original trilogy, the box set, the DVDs in the early 2000s. But so obviously that holds a different special place in my heart. But Episode 3 by far is my first, and I remember there's so much. And I think with the first the prequels, what George did was so good. Is, he made the whole environment more diverse and more in depth with everything else going on, with different hundreds of characters. Because the movie is mainly just a few main characters made out of hundreds of thousands of behind the background characters. But I remember Episode 3. I remember I was watching it at someone's house, and each time they showed Anakin getting burned alive, I couldn't watch because it was so. It looked so serious and was so legit, and it was terrifying. But it's such a great, and the themes, the theme songs or music in the episode is classic. It's memes have been made out of it. It's beloved by many. But I say Episode 3. Then I say Return of the Jedi. That's probably my second favorite. And I feel, and I know other people have said this too, but I've seen that, and I realized that each sequel, or the sequels and then the prequels, are all kind of the same type of story basis of the original trilogy, where you have the new person coming on, the young person will be in there, met with all these other people, and so on and so forth. And you have Luke and Anakin, and then you have Rey. There's similar type of characters in their story and whatever it may be. And then it just like you said, it's a great ending, and the music is great, the scenes and stuff. My third favorite, which may be surprising to some, is the one we saw, Rise of Skywalker. I think only because it was a great ending to it. And I think, I mean, obviously, there's always room for improvement, but I think it was a great story with what they had and what they could do. I think that I think the nostalgia that they had and the cameos and all that stuff, the Easter eggs they had on that you could see, and each time you saw it more and more, you could see more of it, more of them. But I think it was so good. I love Lando, Billy D. Williams coming back as Lando, and the guy who played Wedge, I think it was, coming back at the end for that few seconds, the end battle. But it was so great, and how they made Palpatine so evil and methodical and all that stuff coming back. I mean, you knew that he was going to come back regardless, but it was such a great movie. The next one would be the original one, New Hope. I mean, it's high as it is, but the story, introducing the entry crawl of the what the movie was going to happen in the movie, and the songs and the characters, and it was great. Then the next one obviously would have to be probably what has been known as probably one of the best out of the whole trilogy, which is Empire Strikes Back. It's a completely different turn on the whole series at that point, and a whole different. It's just a darker episode. It was just really good. Then my next one had to be Force Awakens, just because it was it was similar to episode 4, where you got a new character and she's living on her own. Her real parents aren't there, and it was okay. I loved Harrison Ford coming back. That was great, and how they killed him was sad. Spoiler alert: he's dead too. People who haven't seen it yet, but pretty lame if you haven't seen it yet. And the next one after that would have to have been episode 1, Phantom Menace. People give that one shit that might not be deserved to some degree. Like New Hope or Force Awakens, you're learning about new characters and a new story and a background to Obi-Wan and his story and Anakin, so on and so forth. But personally, I got nothing against Jar Jar Binks. I enjoy him. I think he's a funny character, and the guy who played him didn't deserve all the death threats he got. And I love Newt Gunray, whatever you want to call him, and it's great stuff. My next one would have to be, probably one of my least favorite of the prequels, and that's episode 2. I think the dialogue was cheesy. I think definitely the Geonosian battle and the battle at the end and beginning to the Clone Wars was brilliant. The setup it does to the Clone Wars series. The dialogue was just stupid and annoying, and it makes me want to. I'm not going to say kill, because that would get FBI coming towards me. But my least favorite of them all would have to be The Last Jedi. Fuck Rian Johnson. He sucks. He butchered the movie. He destroyed it. Luke Skywalker should have died in it. Spoiler: he died. If any of you sweats out there haven't seen it. But that was the worst, in my opinion, out of them all. They could have been so much better. Fuck, the girl played Rose. She was awful and cringeworthy as much as the dialogue in episode 2. And I wish nothing but the worst for her. And that was pathetic movie. But, like you said, they're great in general regardless. They're some of the best cinema of all time. And they made George Lucas so rich that he could retire. But overall, they're so great. And the thing is, it's similar for me, like Harry Potter, where I could watch it over and over again. It doesn't matter when and how many times to see it, because it's a whole nother experience. It's so great, and you're constantly watching or paying attention to it because you can't take your eyes off it, regardless of the movie. Now, if you've seen it many times, then you can skip through it, some of it. But Kathleen Kennedy recently, or not recently, but in the last few months or so, had announced new content being made, and I don't know if you had seen it yet or heard of it yet, and if you have. What are your thoughts on it? All the new stuff that's being developed.
I was really happy. I was very excited to hear, because I was just sitting in my living room one day and I started getting notifications on Instagram from Star Wars, like releasing all this stuff, and I'm like, whoa, this is cool. Like, they released this thing about, they call it like Rangers of the New Republic. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then right after, they released like an Ahsoka thing, and I'm like, whoa, that's cool too. And then once the Obi-Wan thing was announced, I'm like, all right, this is really cool. Yeah. I can't wait to see that. With Hayden Christensen as Darth Vader, I'm like, that's going to be
I don't mean to interject, but I just read that Liam Neeson wants to return back to playing Qui-Gon Jinn. Obviously, as a Force ghost in the show, but no, continue though.
Oh yeah, that's really, I actually didn't know that. That's pretty cool. So that'd be cool to see Liam Neeson in there as Qui-Gon. I think that was a really good move by Star Wars. I think it's going to keep people pretty interested, especially between now and like Mandalorian season 3, which is hopefully going to be really good too.
Yeah.
So lot to be excited for.
Well, I mean, and it's different compared to other stuff, other movies. Like maybe what's the movie with Vin Diesel, the Fast and Furious, something different like that, where they keep making movies of Mission Impossible, where there's a billion movies of it, and the space for creation and authenticity and new ideas is limited. Whereas Star Wars, some of the Harry Potter, Star Trek, stuff like that, there's such a wide range of stuff that can be developing, stuff that's constantly coming up with. So it's definitely good that they're keep pumping stuff out. But I think not doing anything yet and releasing anything yet is good for them. But another controversial thing that divides a lot of fans is the order to watch Star Wars movies. How would you do it? Would you do prequels, original, and then sequels, or sequels, original, prequels, or how would you do it?
So, I mean, I've always watched it from the order they came out. So, like 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, and then 7, Rogue One, 8, 9.
Yeah.
And Solo in there too.
Yeah. So that's how you wouldn't watch it from numerical order.
I've always watched them like in the order they came out, and it still like makes good sense.
Oh yeah.
But well, yeah, I mean, there's no right or wrong.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely ways that makes the story more sense or informational. Personally, me, I do numerical values. So I start with Phantom Menace and go on, and then I add in the sequels or standalones, whatever you want to call them, and so on and so forth. But I think one time I did, it was within the last year or so. Yeah, it had to have been, where I started Phantom Menace and I watched all the way up every piece of content on Disney Plus related. So the prequels, then whatever the stuff comes after it. Then I watched the standalones, and I watched Clone Wars, and I watched the sequels, and I watched the ones after that, all the shows, and then I watched the sequels. And it was granted I enjoyed it, but it's so long because there's so much content. But it's definitely something that that is of interest. Speaking of Mandalorian, what did you think? What did you think of season 2 compared to season 1?
I thought it was really good. I liked how Baby Yoda kind of developed as a character. I thought that was kind of neat, and I also liked how Mando also kind of built his character too a couple times, where he removed his helmet, which is you would never see that in season 1. So you're kind of seeing that like he's kind of changing with what's going on. And I kind of liked that. And I liked how they brought back a lot of the major like characters from season 1, like Cara Dune and like Grief Karga. I thought that was a really cool move, just seeing them around, and and all of like the new like kind of journeys they went on. They met a lot of new people, so I thought that was kind of cool too.
The ending was interesting. Definitely for season 2, it was definitely one of those where it's like, I can't wait. But for me, Boba Fett returning, and that scene with Bib Fortuna where he kills the fat bastard. But for me though, I found it similar to other shows. Like I watched a show on Netflix, Cobra Kai, which I'm sure you probably have heard of, where I wasn't wondering what's gonna happen next. I was like, that was a great ending, but I'm not like, oh my gosh, I gotta read all the dirt sheets on what's gonna happen next. It was a really solid ending compared to other stuff where you're like, oh, what's gonna happen now?
Yeah, like I thought the ending of Mandalorian I thought it was really good. I thought like seeing Luke Skywalker just show up with the green lightsaber. I'm like, that's pretty cool. Like, I think honestly, once I saw that X-wing like fly by, I'm like, all right, I think that's got to be him.
Well, there's a guy who I follow on YouTube. I don't know if you heard of his name. His YouTube channel is called Star Wars Theory. And he did a live. Occasionally he'll do live streams of the movies, or the Mandalorian, or whatever it may be, and he did it on the Clone Wars season 7, and then he did on this episode, the season finale of Mandalorian. And the whole end of the scene, I watched it with him, I think, or no, I didn't watch it with him because I was worried, it was going to be off time between me and him. And he after he finished, I scrolled back and I watched that part, and I felt I almost bawled my eyes myself because he was getting so emotional about it and crying because it meant so much to him. And someone for himself who's built such a humongous following because of that is impressive. But seeing a man like himself in his 30s, or nearly 30, whatever, how old he is, react that way is amazing. Props to George Lucas and not Kathleen Kennedy. Fuck her too. And it's such an amazing and wonderful piece of content to watch, and it's amazing how it's stood the test of time as several other things and few have. But what was your first? I should have asked this at the beginning. What was your first memory of Star Wars? Is it a specific scene or is it a moment?
I watched it with my dad when I was in like first grade, and on this like tiny TV in like the guest room, and it was just I always remembered that, and yeah, it was from then on. I remember it was like I was like, why is this movie so long?
Yeah,
but yeah, just kept watching.
Yeah, and at the time we didn't know, but many years later, then they would come out with Force Awakens that would be nearly 3 or 4 hours long, however long it was. But
yeah,
what I think my first memory, like I said, I forget. It probably was a birthday. Yeah, it was one of my birthday parties when I was really young. I think I was like 6 maybe, and my grandmother, my mom's side, she took my mom to go see the original movies, and my grandma, always, any conversation she has involves Star Wars or Obi-Wan Kenobi, and how my mom and I are, Luke Skywalker, and we're the second coming of them, and how like it's not that like she's a humongous fan like us where she's watching all this stuff and she's got Disney Plus, but she's a very metaphorical whatever you want to call it, mythological Jesus type person, where she doesn't go to church, but she really talks about how all the archangels and this person this saying that saying. She's like, and it's just she really is that type of astrologist type person, and she she always tells me how when she first saw the movie, because science fiction is kind of the same thing, but when she saw that, she was really taken back from the first moment she saw it, and she was hooked ever since. And I've seen movies with both of them, but I think when I got, because I think I got from her was the box, and I watched it, and I remember I think that was the first movie I ever cried at, because when I watched it at home with my father, when Obi-Wan died in episode 4, I wasn't crying, but I was like, no, and crashed myself into a pillow and was hooked from then on. And, I collected action figures, and it's really great. And like I said, you can watch it whenever, but no, that was great. And I love how much, it's developed since then. That being said, we're going to go to the second portion of this. And for those who are new to the show or returning back, this is the episode. This is the part of the show where I play videos. So now as I move on, I should choose more videos. But since I think the first one, and by now I've worked on the sound portion, so now I don't have to play it through my phone. But this is where I show 4 videos. Andrew I guess reacts to them and gives his thoughts after them. And then this, I had a new part, his favorite person from each video. So I'm going to share my screen now, and I'm going to open Google Chrome, and let's share. So what's going to happen, Andrew? I'm just going to play this first video, and each video I'm going to explain who this person is. If that's okay with you.
Sure.
So this first guy, can you hear it? Could you hear it?
I couldn't hear it.
Can you hear it?
Not yet.
Well, let's go.
Was probably one of the greatest moments of my life.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically what happened, I can edit that out, that portion of the video, so it's better and more quality. So basically this guy, Joe, he's a construction worker, whatever you want to call it. And well, basically I watched this podcast called Your Mom's House, hosted by 2 comedians, Tom Segura and Christina Prusinski. And their show is no holds barred. They'll talk about anything. They'll get close to the line, if not over the line, very blue and edgy. And my type of humor, I love it. And they show that sometimes they'll show videos of what they call cool guys. And this is one of them. His name is Joe. And his story, basically what they found out on the show, and they interviewed the lady who was part of this video, that he was at the gym working out and he saw this lady, very attractive. He paid so much attention, focused on her so much, that he found out who she was on the sign-in sheet. He found her, they went out, and he said, I think you're so attractive. I think we'd be perfect together dating. We should go out to eat. And she goes, maybe we'll see. And he asked for her number, and she goes, how about I take your number? He goes, okay. He takes her phone, puts it in. Instead of just clicking save on the contact, he presses the call number. He presses call, so then it rings on her phone. She's calling him, and then he has her number pop up, so he saves it on his phone. So now he has the woman's number. Julia is her name, and now he texts her this video, and here's the video.
Good morning, Julia. It's me, Joe. Just wanted to say hi. Wish you a great day. Tell you that meeting you yesterday and getting a look at you was probably one of the greatest moments of my life. You were so beautiful. You don't know how beautiful you are to me.
Compliments.
I mean, you're gorgeous. You're precious. And but it's been sitting in my mind when you said to me you want to go back with your ex-boyfriend. Please erase him from your memory. Don't ever go back in the past. I know, because I've been there. And I understand when, you're trying to find somebody and you go on dates and nothing compares to your ex. But there is that better person out there. And Julia, I promise you it is me. I will love you like you've never been loved before. I will cherish you. I'll make you feel like a woman, a real woman. And believe me, after you experience me, you won't even know who your ex-boyfriend is. So, open up your heart to me in your arms.
Come on, he's begging.
Let's go full throttle.
Full throttle.
I can see me falling in love with you. I don't know, I just looked in your eyes and I just melt. Anyhow, I'm heading off to work. This is my cute little home.
Look, he's got 2 fans. He's got 2 fans, if you can see in the back. He's got 2 fans in one room.
You see behind me, I built everything. Every square inch, from crown molding to chair rail to floors to lighting to plumbing, doors, windows.
Hey, and watch this. And there's another one. He's got 3 on one floor.
So this is the type of guy you're getting. I'm a very handy guy. And
handyman.
I'd love to build you whatever you want.
Whoa, hey now.
You're a sweetheart. So
Here it
I
comes.
hope this video doesn't scare you, but that's how I feel. I just want you to know that. Okay? And I look forward going out to dinner with you. So let's make it happen.
And
Mwah. Ciao, baby.
So what happened was, at the end, he sent this to her, and they started going. I don't know what happened afterwards. Well, basically what the podcast had said, because they had interviewed the lady Julia, or whoever the Julia person is, and then he sent another video like that in his car, basically making it seem like they were dating. And I think afterwards she just blocked him and got rid of him. But I want to get your thoughts on it. What are your thoughts on this guy in this video?
I don't know. I guess he had a lot to say, and that was, I guess, what in his mind the best way to say it, and I respect that.
As someone who's been in the dating scene world and what have you, is this the same type of thing you would do for someone you find interesting that you want to go out with?
I don't know. I don't know if I'd be bold enough to send a video like that, but my girlfriend and I, we just, texted at first for a while, and then, we got coffee one day. It's just like kind of baby steps,
So basically you're saying is that you wouldn't go all out and go full force, right? Full throttle, as he says, and send this type of thing?
Well, I wouldn't want to make her nervous or anything.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But out of 10, though, how would you rank this guy in his
just for the effort, I'd give him a 5 out of 10, 5, 6, 5 or 6 out of 10. Give him for the effort.
On the creepy and uncomfortable scale, how would you rate it out of 10?
Creepy, probably give it a 6.5.
A 6.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
So not too creepy, but almost borderline.
It's like, yeah, I'd say it's creepy. I'd say it's creepy, but it's not that creepy.
Well, if you think that's not that bad, wait till you see this video.
Oh, no.
So basically, what this guy is, he's popular on TikTok. His name is Steve, and his signature line when he makes his videos: "Good morning, my kings and queens above 18." He's a truck driver. He delivers stuff in the Ohio area and other surrounding places. He makes TikTok videos complimenting girls and saying how good they are, nice they are, pretty they are, and gives them confidence. And that's how he makes it seem like. Well, I'll share, afterwards what he's like. But his name is Steve, and he's a truck driver. And this is one of his videos. His perfect video, I think, that he made on TikTok that someone posted here. His POV shot.
Time to wake up, my queen. Come on, my queen above 18. Open them beautiful eyes. There you go. You are so beautiful. I just love my queen above 18. Well, good morning. All right, my queen. I'll go down and put your breakfast on. I'll get you some nice hot cup of coffee. You go take your shower, and I'll meet you in the kitchen. I love you too, my queen above 18. I will see you in a little bit. Yes, you look beautiful. All right, I'll talk to you in a little bit.
So, like I said, he makes these videos complimenting them similar to this. And to him, nothing seems uncomfortable or weird about this. Nothing seems weird or just disgusting and gross in every sense of the word. He thinks this is perfectly normal, given the confidence. Well, I'll give you an example of an incident I had with him. Or not really, but someone had commented on his videos. Now, I don't know if you got TikTok or you post anything on there, but someone had on one of his videos, he commented, and there's a video version you can make, or a type of video you can make where you can put a comment up there, you can react to it at the top. And someone said, this is uncomfy or whatever it was, with the two little stars where it was. And he's like, oh, what does this person mean by uncomfy? Because I don't know what they mean. And I had commented, uncomfy means when a guy in his 60s, overweight guy in his 60s, asks underage girls or above age girls to send them lewd photos or videos to him. And he saw that comment, and people liked it. And he made a comment about them and said, this guy is saying I do all this stuff, and he must have pornographic stuff on his mind. He's an asshole. Fuck him. And I'm like, what are you talking? How do you not realize that this is gross and weird? And they played this on the podcast I listened or watch, and they make a fool of him. And he actually has his own clothing line that he's made, his own whatever you want to call it, garb or clothes or apparel, whatever it's called properly. But and it's a black, there's a black sweatshirt, there's a tank top, there's pants, there's a hat, and it's Kings and Queens above 18. So on the one sleeve it says Kings and Queens above 18, then on the top somewhere on the left or right it says K and Q. Then there's a smiley face that says it on the stomach, and there's pants, and this hat's, like I said, and it's shipping cost. It's not inexpensive. It's kind of expensive. The shipping's $10, and the stuff is like $30. So you're paying $40 for the stuff. But now, out of 10, how normal would you ask? Would you rate him what he asked for? So basically, what to do is go into his email account, kingsandqueensabove18@gmail.com, give him your information, Venmo him, then PayPal him, ask him what you want, what sizes, how much, and your address so we can mail it to you. Out of 10, though, how would you rate that as creepy?
I give it a 10. I said that was very creepy.
What are your thoughts on this guy, though? Like his way of doing stuff. Out of 10, how would you rate him?
I give that maybe like a 1 or 2, just because I think it was a little invasive.
Yes.
I don't think anyone would appreciate seeing that. It was kind of uncomfortable.
You don't you don't think that King is doing stuff wrong?
I think he might just have to reevaluate.
Well, basically, how he started off his videos, because they play this on the podcast, which is far more comfortable than this. They play, first he was making videos in his truck at night, and he was saying, it was like whatever it was, good night or good evening, whatever it was. I like the videos of the no bra look. Let them boobies hang. And he really developed it and saying, hey, now make sure you're above 18. And because and they were saying, I think he's saying that now just because he might have got slipped someone who might not have been, oh, that age. But so basically what I'm gathering is, like the previous year, this isn't how you would send something or wish happy thoughts onto your current lady friend.
Yeah, that's definitely not what I would do.
You wouldn't hunch over and make sure you're the same size as a walrus, and Braden saying, good morning.
No, I would not do that.
Yes. Unfortunately, the Braden remarks they won't be not nearly, they won't be happening as much here because, actually, no, fuck it, I will. So that's that video, and this next video is not as bad. I promise you this. This next guy though, there's 2 videos of him, and he's from TikTok as well, and I follow him. He's the similar type of following where it's kind of big. So this guy's name is Haig the King, or King. Yeah, I think it is, and he's from Australia. He's probably a few years younger than us, I think, and he does a lot of cosplay and a lot of skit type videos. And here he is.
Hello there all. My name is Welvis. That's right, bud. Welvis, sort of a mixture between Elvis and Wolverine. And I'm as dangerous as it gets. Today I'm going to be showing you some moves that I learned. So we got Karate Chop. Hiya, hey, 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 hiya, 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 hiya. The hiya, hiya. Also, they got the karate kick. Hiya, hiya, hiya. Also, the claw karates.
Oh shit! The claws. Watch out, Andrew. He might come and steal your girl.
So,
Oh shit!
that's right, baby. I got these. Hiya, hiya, hiya. That's right. Also, the karate, a claw chop.
Oh shit! He's bringing that hammer throw.
Yeah, that's right. Welvis, you're getting a little deadlier this year. That's right. I also got
Oh shit! The hip thrust.
yeah.
It's Mr. Steal Your Girl. Whoa, whoa, whoa! It's Mr. Steal Your Girl.
I'm Welvis. I'm more deadly than Wolverine or the Wombat Rain.
Oh, that's another character.
Thank you all very much. Hope you like this video. If you don't, well, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below what you think.
So this guy, now he might be on the spectrum, so I can't laugh too much. But this guy, he really loves Elvis, not Elvis, Elvis or Elvis, Wolverine. He also does Spider-Man and the Flash and other stuff like that. And he also makes up characters. And he was posted on TikTok, and then took a break for his mental health and to stop because he was getting burned out. And then he stopped doing Elvis and Elvis because he saw the videos and thought he was really cringy, as he said his words. But great content. He hasn't done anything yet because he's taking a break again for his mental health. And it's such a great on a cool guy scale out of 10. How would you rate him?
No, I give him a full 10.
A full 10? Why?
Yeah, no, I think if I was around him, I'd feel very safe.
Yeah, you feel very safe.
Someone who really has moves like that, I couldn't match those.
Now let's say if your girlfriend was in danger, and being with you wasn't safe. Would you trust her being with him and her being safe with Wilvis here?
So repeat the question again.
So let's say your girlfriend was in danger, and
Yep.
it wasn't safe for her to be with you or your family or her family, and the only option was him. Would you feel safe that he would keep a good eye and keep her safe in danger?
Oh no, definitely.
Definitely.
I would trust Welvis with my entire life.
Well,
I think
if
he's determined.
Well, if you think Welvis is a good guy to be safe with, wait till you meet Wolverine.
Okay, bud, where's the girl? Now we can do this the easy way or my way. Yeah, you want to start talking or should I start clawing? Because these bad boys will these bad boys love the taste of blood. Now, start talking with the mutant, or I will start clawing. And trust me, I will. Now, want to tell me? Or will these tell me? Make you tell me. Good. There. Really? 5 guys with guns. They're a match for girl. Oh, claw. Hurts.
Oh yes, that. For those who don't know, I've said this before. In the film world, this is a rule of thirds, so you're off center to 1/3 of the scene. So I think he's done a good job with this.
Now, let's try this again, shall we? Where's the girl? Or the claws will make you tell. You don't believe me? Ha!
That jab.
Think I'm joking? Talk, or I'll make it talk. Over there. Good. Never mess with the Wolverine.
Well, there you go. There's Welvis and Elvis and the King and Joe. So you've seen four people, although two of them are similar. Like, who would be the best? Who would be the coolest, and who would be the least coolest out of those four?
So I think the coolest would be Welvis, personally.
Okay.
Just because he has that the friendliness of Elvis, and he's really got the moves. I don't have half the dance moves of that, and he's a protector. He's the Wolverine, so I would trust that man with my life. He has a positive attitude, and he keeps people safe. So I would trust him with my life, and I'm sure anyone else would trust him with their lives for sure. I think he's got a lot. He's got a big future for him. And I gotta say my least favorite was that guy, the King. I just thought he was really weird, kind of creepy. So yeah, I think he was my least favorite.
That's it. Well, now this is the the final section of this podcast before we end it here, and this is the personal section of it where I kind of, for the viewers, I kind of talk about how I met my guest or guests on the show and how we kind of met and that part. So if you can, I mean, I certainly can, is if I'm able to, if I can think about it. But how do you remember how we first met, or is it kind of just a blur for you?
I think it was at your dad's tennis camp.
Yeah.
I think that first summer I did that camp. So I was going into 5th grade. So I think it was like 2010, something like that. So something around then. I remember seeing you there. I was in the red ball group and you were in the green ball group.
That's the price you pay, I guess, for having your dad as all-time great coach in the history of sports, and especially Rhode Island. But I think it's hard for me before going to Broad Rock too, or something. I know we both went to Peacedale, so I'm sure obviously on the playground we ran into each other, or in the cafeteria, or whatever it may be. But I can't remember specifically, but I'm sure it was that. And then I know for a fact, because we played at Curtis Corner together. So I'm sure I probably knew of you before Curtis Corner, but I probably didn't know you. And then Curtis Corner, we played together, and that was with Mrs. Chadwick herself, and her. That would have been, that's only 7th, 8th grade. So us and the Keos and so much more. I forget who else was on the team at that point. But that was the beginning of our introduction to the fabulous twosome known as Connor and Braden Keo. For those who don't know, two of the probably worst people we've ever met. And Andrew might not want to admit that outwards to it, but I will admit that two of my least favorite people in the world, and they're just, my gosh, and they bitch and moan and complain. And anyways, that did take away from the task, because we sure had our fun share. And although we might not have had a perfect record, we always had fun together, always communicated, and we complement each other's games very great. I don't want to say greatly, because that's greatly is not really I would think a proper word to say, or grammatically. And that, when I first met Andrew's wonderful parents, Mr. Todd and Erica Estus, two wonderful people. And plus they also throw together a grand old backyard gathering with their pool and a cookout and so forth. Like Andrew's graduation, that party, that was a wonderful time by a school fireplace. But besides that fact, that's an obvious fact to anyone who knows him. I think also, but then I think starting then was when we really started to know each other. I mean, I don't think we really were in contact, perhaps, but I think that was when I was in high school, when we both were in high school. So I would say when I was in 10th and you were in 9th. and obviously on the same team together, great apart, but we started a classic rivalry on the tennis court, and we haven't played in a while, but sometimes it is hard for me to admit defeat. Mr. Andrew Estus, the guest on here, does have, I believe, the winning record against me, and I think at first, definitely, and you can definitely attest to this, when your game started to really improve. I think it probably was when I was, I can't remember exactly, but I think it was when I was in 11th grade and you were in 10th, right when you were starting to move up on the ladder. But it was when the tide started to turn. I could try as hard as I want. Obviously, I never really tried that super hard. That was evident, especially my last year when Tim Burnett was at 4 singles and I wasn't, and he choked every single match. But then that was it, and I think what's so great is that great about us playing together was that I would try so hard, and usually I would be very successful. Because are you right-handed?
Yeah, I'm right-handed.
So I'd always try my hard to hit cross court, but I never did, and Andrew would always hit it back, and I'd always try to expose his weak side in tennis, which you want to do, especially with the left hand. You want to go cross court for people who don't know tennis, and I would always go to his would have been your backhand. And he would hit to my backhand, and it would just be off. And I'd get so pissed off because I could never get anything. And I would smash my racket and curse and swear so loud. And I remember one time, you might remember this, when we played in it, you were up big time, and I was fuming. And we were playing on court 2 at Broadway, and it started to rain. And it started to get a little slippery. And you're like, "Oh, do you want to call?" I'm like, "No, we're not finishing this." And I think you beat me. I think 6-1, 6-0, and I was just, ugh. And I was just like, that was the worst I ever played. Although it was close because we're both extremely consistent. But when 2 people who are very consistent playing it, whoever's going to make the first error, or the error first, and that kind of gets them into mentally. But how would you assess us playing together, whether it be opponents or teammates?
Oh, I'd say we're teammates just because. We played against each other, but it was for the reason of us both learning from it and getting and improving from it in the long run. So I think I don't think we're really opponents because we weren't really out to get each other. We're kind of there playing each other to kind of help each other out in a way.
Yeah, but I think I'm trying to think of some funny moments we've had on that court. I can't think of anything that sticks out particularly. I don't know if you can over the years we played.
Coach Jerry, I don't know.
Oh yeah. I mean, we weren't. You were for your freshman year. You were with her when it's 10th grade. It was when I moved up. Although I probably should have been honestly. I was bottom of varsity 10th grade, but which would have been probably top of JV. I think 10th grade though was when you moved up. Did you move up the end of freshman year, or was it 10th grade when you? Officially,
I went to one practice my freshman year, but I wasn't full time on the practice.
Yeah, because my dad would do that from time to time, where he would get the top 3 or 4 or 5 JV teams and experience varsity practice. And someone like yourself, I can't think of Jack Robbins maybe, and maybe a few people who experience that. But I think though my fondest memory though is with you on the tennis court, or not tennis court, or I should say off the tennis court, was senior night, my senior night of 2018. That probably was one of my highlights of my tennis career. Not the fact that I finally was going to experience it after in my whole life of watching it, or at least me remembering it since I was probably 4 or 5. So 13, 14 years of getting to experience, finally coming true to experience it was such a magical thing. And it did my speech, the speech. I mean, that was wonderful, and I felt so honored to have done that because it was such a great thing, and it was such a great feeling. And I ended up, when I was talking, I ended up breaking down and crying like a baby because I couldn't get anything out because it meant so much. But going into that, how did you decide what you wanted to mention? Kind of describe what that process is like for senior night, or doing a speech for a senior, for anyone who doesn't know.
For me, like when I was making your speech, I was just trying to think of like any inside jokes, like maybe that we had, or like some just like some a mix of like inside jokes that only like you and like all of our teammates would kind of understand, and then jokes that maybe everyone would know, or just like maybe some fun facts about like your personality and stuff. And like it was definitely, I remember having a lot of fun writing it, just because it was definitely a lot of fun just being like just talking about you and like talking about the season and stuff. It was really cool.
Well, it's definitely a nerve-wracking experience to speaking from those people, though it's not a huge. Because I remember when I was writing mine, when I did Calder's my junior year, and I had to speak up, and I was nervous. I always thought I could always go up prior. I had to put together, and it wasn't hard to come up with something, especially if you know the person well. It was more the fact not writing an incredible amount and writing a short amount where you're still getting the message across and what this person means to you. And I remember I had to cut a lot of stuff out when I did his because I had too much. I didn't want to take up too much time, especially since I wasn't at the end. But when it came time to mine, when I had to say some words, I had spent some time, probably like a week prior to that, if not a few days prior, if not a day prior, to really refine what I had. And I had probably 2 or 3 pages of stuff I wanted to say, but that's too much, especially. I mean, although I was at the end, which I appreciate so much that my father did that. It meant so much, especially the relationship we had between me and him. But I had to cut so much off also because I was a few of the stuff was a few gut punches and a few knives to the heart, a little too close for some people there, and we both know who they are. Keos and Timber Up. But I said the Keos and Timber Up. A few too many digs at them would have been too much. But I think once I started, that was the end. I got out thanking everyone for being there, who helped out, and then I started with my sisters and I think Coach Bob and Matt Mannix and a few people. Then once I started to get to the other stuff is when I could start feeling, and I had to take a break, and that's when all came out. I took a little long, but there were a few digs thrown to teammates and especially the JV team because they drive Jerry crazy as the years go on, and there's certain players we both know, John Halloran and Crook and Ryan Mann, all these people who get on her nerves and push her buttons extremely. Jeremy Taylor was another one, but no, it was just such a wonderful night. And obviously, whenever you do something that big, you always look back and say, what, I could have said something different, or I could have said this more or that, or tried better. But it's in the moment. It's such a great night and such a great experience because it comes full circle. And whether you have a good season or a bad season or a great season. It's interesting, it's kind of relieving. It kind of a good thing that it's come full circle. Being given the proper congratulations for the work that went into it. But no, it was just such a wonderful night. I'm sure you can agree with that, especially towards your senior night. Because I believe that did my dad did you go last? When it was your senior night, did you make the final remarks, or were you like a different part?
I think I might have went last. I actually don't remember, but I remember it was me, Jack, and John.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah, a short list of people, but still, great memories. I know I made digs at Liam Gagnon though in my speech because for those that know, Liam Gagnon, wonderful kid, great kid. We both love him. He's a close friend of mine. Although he's like Sam Kinski, the type of person who you have to start every conversation with them, and at least with me, and it's you're putting so much effort to keep going or doing something that he won't. If you're not his brother Sam or anything like that, then it's very hard to get anything in return. But it means well. But I had made a few digs with him only because for the viewers, I played doubles with him. My senior year, I was thrown around with so many different players. I considered myself an old dish rag. Liam, I played with Braden. I played with Matt Burns, who me and Matt Burns should never have been separated. And I played with John Santine, which I'm not going to go there because that was a disappointing portion, especially in the state semifinals. But me and Liam, we played Barrington and Hendricken back to back, and both rivals. For those that know South Kingston, when we both went to high school, both schools are our rivals. Although they've had our number the last few years recently because of their incredible talent of getting great players. We played them we had already lost a match. Like it was 6-0 at the point, or 5-1, whatever it might have been, 6-1. Me and Liam were the last match on the court for Barrington, up at Barrington. And the sun's starting to go down and win the third set. We're going back and forth, back and forth. I do all I can to win a game. Then they'd already won a game. So we're down 1-0, 2-0, and then, or like say 1-0. And then my turn serving, 1-1. Then let's say win another game, 2-1 us. And then Liam serving. And Liam serving, it's like giving away free money at the lottery. Double fault 8 times in a game, and never mind a set that's like 30 double faults. And then she's like, oh, so we ended up losing the match. And I'm so frustrated because you put in this hard work, and then you have Liam, who, great athlete, great player, but double faults, and that got me going like nothing else. And then Hendricken, and that was the only time I ever played that felt like the state finals. I never got to. My freshman year, I was on JV. We dominated at Rod Rock. And I was a nose hair away from clinching for the team, but I forget who. I think it was you who won it, didn't you?
JV
freshman year. JV state finals.
Oh no, it was Ryan Sweet. It was Ryan and Curtis Hartman. My freshman year.
When I was no, I'm saying my freshman year. So never mind. You weren't on the team. My freshman year. My freshman year.
No.
It was. I think it was Calder and might have been.
Yeah, it was Johnny. I think it was Calder and Johnny.
Yeah, and great for them, and that was great. But I was so fired up because me and Ian, who were partners, so I wish I was with Sam, who I could have been with, because I was asked. For those who don't know, nothing against Ian, he was okay, not committed, but we were so close. We rushed to the first few games because I wanted to get off and clinch it, because I never had. I wanted to experience that for the first time, whether it be JV or varsity, and we were so close. We were 5-1 or 5-2, and we were 3 points away from doing it, and the other players got it. And that was great, but I was so I wanted to do it so bad, and I feel bad for saying that and thinking that, because it's kind of selfish, but just the mentality I had. Anyways, so then we get to this match with Liam, and we already lost, like I said, to the viewers, and the team match itself, and we were up. We won the first set. No, we lost the first set 6-4. Then we won the second 7-5, and I don't know how many people know this, but I think the last game we won, we were up 6-5, was a tiebreaker. I think we were losing the game or tied. I got the score wrong, but my dad was there watching, their coach was watching, and I think it was 6-5 them or 6-6, and I said no, that was, and I made up the score, and I said it was 7-5, we won the game. So I felt kind of bad during that moment, but they went through with it, and they accepted that, and I was like, great, we finally won a set. So I technically lied and kind of made something up, but whatever, who cares? Sue me. And then we come to the final set, and we're going back with everyone's watching. We already lost a set. They're cheering, Hendrick's cheering, our fans are cheering, the teammates cheering. I'm getting fired up. I'm like I always do, and me and Brandon always did. Every other point, we'd always fist bump and scream, "Let's go!" And Jack made fun of me for that. And we come back and we're going back and forth, and Liam serving the final game. We were down 6-5, I think it was. And it was one of the most brutal days I'd ever faced, because we tried so hard. Everyone was watching, and he double faults the game away, I think. And we lose the match, and our match. And that was, I couldn't talk to him for the rest of the night or the day, just because it was such a hard thing to witness. And I'm sure with you being out on the outside and you watching it probably was a brutal thing to watch, because the match was so close and we already lost, but it was such a close match. And my father spent many times after matches discussing the double fault, and I should give him more credit, because he tried really hard, but he couldn't get it. But we learned, and then I got put with Matt Burns, and we went on an 8-match win streak, and we made it to the state quarterfinals and so forth. But what I want to mention, one of the last things I want to mention on this podcast, because we're starting to approach a record here on the show almost for time recorded. But I think with you is that you move it up very fast in the lineup, and which is very commendable, if that's the correct word. We graduate players, and then we all of a sudden we had no one returning back from singles. So we had players. Connor moved up, and that's a whole nother conversation. Sam and you rocket ship all the way to the top, and I wish I had that forcefulness, I guess if that's another word to use, where you now you're at the top of the lineup, and SK is not known for having multi-sport athletes on the team. They're known for players, multi-sport talents, I should say. So playing different sports year round. Some just do one sport, and they might not do it year round. Whereas sport players, Hendrick and Barrington, schools like that, they only play tennis and they're doing it year round, constantly. With Mario is this, for those who don't, Mario Lanza, whatever his name is a tennis pro, and he instructs the best players for a pretty penny, not to say the least expensive. But you were kind of the hitman. I'll get your opinion on this. And you always had a great attitude, whether you were able to win a match here and there, or lose a handful of them, and always a great attitude. And respect that gratefully. So you're always there. So when it came down, to my match, I really wanted to win it because we were down the hole from other players, weren't experienced at the same level as other ones, and it was such a heartbreaking time. But no, what was it like for you though, for moving up so quickly and kind of having to be the sacrificial lamb against some other big time players?
It was definitely a learning experience. A lot of times it was frustrating because even though I knew my opponent was a lot better than me, I always felt like, oh, why am I not doing as good?
Yeah.
But it's like it's sometimes not proportional just because playing kids. I think I had to play Owen Voigt. I had to play him once, and he was really good on Barrington. So that was it was like not demoralizing, but it was like kind of discouraging because it's like I can't do anything.
Yeah,
but
like you know that it's gonna he's gonna win, and you try your hardest, but it's just the different levels, whether it be experience or time they put in, it's just not on the same level. So it's hard, and kind of it hurts your personal ego because you can't really do anything about it. But as a leader of the team, we joke around, I was a captain my senior year, so I was called senior captain. I called Andrew here junior captain. Other people were sophomore captain, so on and so forth. But when you were captain your senior year, how did you, and Jack was captain as well, I'm pretty sure. How did you, whether it just be you yourself or with Jack, how did you kind of, make sure the team was on the right track mentally, or whatever it was, even if the season you were underdogs as a team?
Especially like my senior year, I was also higher up on the lineup, so I was still getting kind of beat down by the top level players. So my job, I wanted to make sure that even though I was sort of like not happy with losing all the time, I wanted to make sure that my teammates were also, had like a good attitude and just kind of went in the same way. I didn't want anyone to, feel down on themselves. And I want to make sure everyone was, ready to go. And, that was definitely one of the hardest parts, I think, was, playing, some of the top kids in the state and getting completely beat down. But like, then I have to walk off the court and then be, optimistic, cheer everyone on. And, because the match isn't over, my match is just one match. There's, six or so other ones out there. So, I gotta support everyone else. And that was that was what kept me going the whole season. It was like, it's my match is my match, but once it's over, then I want to make sure everyone else does all right too.
From when whatever, from doubles, whether it was 3 doubles or it was a rocket ship, taking a rocket ship all the way up to the top of the singles lineup, how did you deal with, like when that happened, how are you mentally, able to cope with that? Like what was your mindset accepting that?
I think after sophomore year, when I had knowledge that a lot of kids were going to graduate and there's going to be a big gap of players and there was an opportunity for me to move up in the lineup. So I took advantage of that and I played a lot in the off season and tried to work on my game as best as I could. I got a couple new rackets and stuff to work on. And I think it was definitely a very large jump going from 3 doubles to two singles, but I think it mentally it felt kind of the same. Just being like practicing with varsity, honestly, I think prepared me the most because everyone at practice was treated the same. It was the same running, same warm up for everyone. So I think that jump wasn't as big, but I think the skill gap was the skill change was insane because I felt like I got a little bit better But there are some kids that I was playing against that
Yeah.
were just top of the state, and there's nothing you can do about
Well,
that.
even with, in your, whatever that you're exposed to it, I guess, or, people like Connor and Sam who are near the top of the lineup, even though, the alumni for the team, was very close, I guess. I mean, years ago, though, when I was growing up watching the team when I was in elementary school, middle school, I think more alumni came back and more, impressive alumni came back. Not saying people graduate ahead of me or my own classes or your classes and it isn't anything good because, there's definitely skill there. But when you have people like John Burke and Daryl Bender and people like that come back to come play, it helps you out. But in a sense, it doesn't because, like yourself, you might play John Burke, who's a great athlete, Daryl Bender, who's phenomenal. But even playing against them, you can play that all you want, but it's still not going to help against these big time players in high school that some are younger than you. And, not to mention, you took number one singles from Connor Kia, which was a great feeling for me personally. But no, it's amazing. But with that being said, though, we have unfortunately reached the end of this journey of this week's episode number 6. But I want to thank you, Andrew. It means sincerely a lot that you would take your time, whatever it may have been. It's been a little bit of time here to come out and be on this episode with me. It means a great deal.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, thanks for having me. This is great.
What I should have said this at the beginning. There's always stuff I want to say at the beginning whenever I'm editing this, but I wanted to start this journey. I wanted to, I tried other experiments and stuff like this, but I kind of got burned out. Not necessarily just because, not in general burned out. Just I was trying doing it. I didn't know what I was doing. Just kind of doing it on the flow, and I got burned out. Didn't have anything to think of to do, so I want to do this again now that we're in quarantine, and I want to have the first season or two. I want to have good friends of mine, people I really enjoy that are close to me that although like yourself, you're in school in Massachusetts and it's been quarantine, so we haven't seen each other in a while, but I still have a relationship where I can say, hey, Andrew, you mind coming on my podcast for whatever hour and a half, and we can discuss stuff, and I really enjoy it. So thank you for coming on. For those who are listening, I want to thank you, whether you're new people or returning back. I greatly appreciate that. To catch up, to watch it, if you want to watch any other episodes or listen to this one, this will be uploaded Thursday morning around 9-10 o'clock on all podcast available stuff that you can stream on YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and all the other platforms. Same title as this podcast here on YouTube, the IST Meme Show, on, like I said, the same platforms. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you're here on YouTube, turn on post notifications if that is your thing, or if you're on SoundCloud, don't forget to leave a like or follow. I greatly appreciate that as well. What was I gonna say? Shit, now I have to edit this out. Oh, there's a website also. So on that website, some of this has got a mission statement, and it also has a social media feed, so you can keep up to date with that stuff. There are links also for those who don't know. There's a little section on the bottom of the website where you can leave. You can contact form. We can ask, send in a topic or discussion point that you want me and my guest to discuss for the next episode. So go on the website, theistmemeshow.com. And yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, follow, share, whatever it may be, send to whatever platform listening to this. And thank you for watching. This has been Noel Dog with the sunglasses and my guest, Andrew. Thank you and good night. For coming on today. I want to thank you all for watching this great episode. Catch us next week around the same time for another episode of the Iced Tea and Meme Show with Noel Dog. Take care and good night.